Hi folks, welcome to Fruit of Life. I'm Mark. We've got a lot of projects coming up. Spring has sprung and things are surely greening up out here. We've got gardening projects to do. We've already got seeds started. We just got to do some prep in the garden to get that ready. But one of the major things I'm working on right now is growing mushrooms. I've started growing gourmet and medicinal mushrooms, things like blue oyster and lion's mane and pink oyster and golden oyster. Having a lot of fun with it. And I think it's gone well enough that I think I want to try to sell some. So one of the first projects is going to be to build a flow hood or a flow cabinet. What that's for is to make sure that the air, when you're working with the substrate in that area, is really sterile. You want to keep down spores of bacteria and mold and anything like that, or other mushrooms that could contaminate your substrate. And the substrate is what the mushrooms grow on. It's kind of a sawdust mixture. So we want to keep that air sterile. So the flow hood is going to help with that. It's one of the first things to make sure we can ramp up production and get going. So I hope you can follow along. Let me know if you have any other ideas for projects, and please comment. I like to hear what everybody thinks about the project. So follow along. Let's get started. There are a lot of different flow hood options, such as these commercials. This one's $1,650. This one's around $800. And then there's also options that are DIY that are pretty small, do about $100-ish for this one. And then the still air box is really a pretty small space. I really don't think I want to do that, so I'm going to try DIY. So first, just cut up all my pieces. Here I'm using my Kreg 720 pocket hole jig. This thing works so great. It's really fast. I've tried the mini in the past. It worked great years ago when I was only needing to do a few at a time, but if I need to do a bunch of pocket holes, this thing's great. It just fastens right down to my bench. I can hook my vacuum up to it with a hose, and it really does a great job of keeping the dust down, and just really is fast.
Oh, fudge.
Yeah, I sometimes have those issues with the bits coming out of those drills. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe everybody let me know in the comments if you have that issue or if you found a fix for it. But occasionally the bits just seem to loosen up and fall out. So it's what it is, I guess. I'm just using some scrap pieces here I had for the fan pre-filter box. You can see these been sitting in my barn since probably last year from other projects, but I did buy one 4x8 sheet of 3/4 inch primed plywood that most of the flow hood's made of, but I just used these scraps that I had for the ends. So here I'm using another Kreg tool. It's a Kreg pocket hole clamp. The thing works really great. It really keeps the project steady when I'm using pocket holes, and just really lines things up nice. Yeah, there's another project I have getting ready to start in the background there. That's my horse livestock trailer. Just need to do some work on it, get it cleaned up, and get a new skirt on the front of it, and it'll be good as new. Had some issues using the pocket hole clamp on this end of it because I had the box shoved back a little bit too far on the bench here, but the pocket hole base clamp came in handy and worked really well. Alright, now we'll pull the other side of the box together. Again, this is just for the blower fan and housing for the pre-filter. Yeah, I've got a couple different variations of pocket hole clamps. Actually, the Kreg clamp is a little cumbersome because it has a really small adjustment knob that's in an awkward spot. It's really not like a vice grip type adjustment. These other cheaper brands that I have, I think they're off of Amazon, actually have more of a vice grip type adjustment. All right, now we're going to start on the main box of the flow hood. Here I'm using some of my big clamps that I got from Harbor Freight, a lot of these types of things, clamps, think those types of tools that are not super critical. I often get them from Harbor Freight because A, they're cheap, they work great, they fill the purpose, and I'm not a pro, so they work great for the hobbyists like me. So.
Like, which way did they go?
Yeah, sometimes I'd lose my head if it wouldn't attach. Now we're putting on the sides. Again, with the Kreg pocket hole clamps, work great. Get the main part of the box here put together. You can see this time I put the box a little bit further out off the edge. Made it a lot easier to put these clamps on. Those black clamping squares you see are really helpful too for whenever you're putting something like this together. Alright, here I'm using a brad nailer with some 1.25" brads. Glued these backstops for the HEPA filter in place and brad nail them in. That way it'll give something firm for the HEPA filter to set up against. Alright, next we gotta measure things out and get ready to put the fan filter box on top of the main box. Just measuring everything out. Measure twice. You can see here the cutout in the side there for the pre-filter to slide into. Alright, set the fan down in here, just make sure it's all centered up real nice. Pull the box off. Now I'm just tracing around where the fan's going to slide into the top of the main box. And then I'll cut it out with my jigsaw. Now I probably could have chose something better than a spade bit here. Just probably used a straight bit, but spade bit was what I grabbed, so it worked. Alright, we got Milwaukee leaf blower. Thing works great. Alright, bet you can guess what I'm going to put this box on with. Yep, pocket holes. Alright, putting a little caulk around all the gaps, all around all the box. I'm just using some DAP siliconized caulk here. I really don't like to use full silicone on things. I see a lot of people use silicone, but I really don't like to use full silicone on anything unless it is a wet surface. Here I'm gonna use my homemade sprayer. This thing works great. Probably one of the best investments I made in this painting. This thing really just does a great job. It's fast, easy to clean up. And it really works well until you start running out of paint, like you see here. So I just need to put some more paint in the hopper here, but it really lasts a long time. It does a great job. By that point, I had already painted the other side. And here's our completed project. All right, now that we have the flow hood going, we're going to go ahead and colonize some substrate. We've got 4 bags of master's mix in our pressure cooker. They cook for about 2.5 hours at 15 psi. Unfortunately, this is one of the major pain points of ramping up. I can only fit 4 bags at a time of what are only 8-pound bags of substrate in the pressure cooker, and of course you got to let it cool down. And so basically, it's a 2-day process just to get 4 bags. So my next project is going to be working on that, where it can ramp up and sterilize a lot more bags at a time. So as we're getting started here, we're going to go ahead and do these 4 bags. I'm going to go ahead and do a lion's mane today and a blue oyster. You can really tell the difference between these two. The lion's mane, you can see, is a little bit more wispy. It doesn't look as colonized, but it definitely is, than the blue oyster. And actually, it's probably a little over. They're probably pretty thick, so I got a stirrer to help me probably break them up, because I'm probably not going to be able to break them up by just shaking them. So we'll go ahead and sterilize their surfaces, get on some gloves, and get going. All right, spray everything down with a little 70% ISO. These Zep sprayers are really great. They're cheap, easy to find, and you can put a lot in them. It lasts quite a while. Again, we're just spraying everything down, getting everything ready to go. I do see some people sometimes spraying their HEPA filter of their flow hood, and I'm not sure if that's a great idea to spray your HEPA filter down. I feel like you're getting moisture on it, and even if it is alcohol that evaporates pretty quickly, you're still putting moisture on it, and I think it could mat up the surface or actually attract things to the moisture quickly. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like it's probably not the best idea to go ahead and do that, so I'm not going to do that. All right, go ahead and throw on some gloves here. And yeah, even though we are putting on what should be fairly sterile gloves, still a good idea to go ahead and spray your gloves down, wipe them around a little bit, even wipe up your arms a little bit, just to make sure any spores that could have collected are taken care of. Always want to make sure you're leaving your flow hood on for quite a while before you start, just to make sure any dust or particles of spores, bacteria, mold, anything in the air is cleared up before you get started. We have, again, confirmed that the flow hood is producing laminar flow at the setting it's on, so we should be good to go. All right, so here's our bags. Go ahead and get this ready to go here. I'm gonna spray it down a little bit. Probably open that one up a little bit far, unfortunately, before I sprayed it, but it should be fine. I'm in front of the flow hood, so it should be good. All right, I'm gonna start with the blue oyster here. Pop the top. Again, I'm in front of the flow hood here, so I should be getting pretty good shape. I'm just gonna break this up a little bit in the container here. I'm actually using my canning probe that I use for getting bubbles out, or you call it debubbler for canning. So do that, and then we will go ahead and dump this in. Now, I'm probably doing a little overkill. I probably don't need to put half a jar in these, but I just am for now. That's what I'm doing. We'll see how that works. It's worked so far. I probably don't need to put in again so much, but right now, with the way I have everything set up, and I'm only able to produce 4 bags at a time, that's what we got. All right. Kind of should have been a little bit better there, putting some air in the bag. I'll try with the next one to remember that. It's kind of a new process for me working in front of the flow hood, because I haven't had it. So far, I've just been using a torch and letting that heat from the torch make sure there's no spores in the area. All right, and we're good to go. All right, we'll set these aside. I'm gonna do a couple at a time, and then we'll mark them afterwards. All right, now that we've completed colonizing the substrate bags, we'll go ahead and label them, and then we'll do the shake, 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 and they'll be ready to go into the incubation room. Another thing that just takes a while. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Some people have set up old clothes dryers, and that can work really well, where you just have basically the dryer running without the heater element, and so it's just tumbling. That can be fine. I think the only problem with that is, again, it's a pinch point where you're not really able to do a whole lot at a time. One method I've seen that I think could be really beneficial is where they're using a piece of plastic conduit that's probably like 14, 18 inches, and it's set on an angle. It's probably about 10 feet long, and then it has a motor that's probably from a dryer hooked up to it with a belt, and then that turns the piece of culvert, and you're throwing your bags in there, and as they work down through slowly, they're tumbling around and they get broken up. I think that could be a good method, but we'll see. I'll try some different things. All right, well, let me know what you all think in the comments. I'm excited to get this new process going. Try to learn more about growing these mushrooms and have a little fun with it. Hopefully, eventually start selling some. So please like and subscribe. It really does help. So as I'm trying to build this channel, I want to try to get all the support I can and try to get you all some great information out there, because I think I have a lot of great projects coming up and can really share a lot. Thank you.